Assalamu guys, Irfan back again with another video, and in this video what we are going to be looking at is dynamic graphs. The graph ranges are going to be dynamic. Now let me first explain what I mean by that. Say for example you have this data here, you have in this column you have the months, and in column B you have the sales figures for the company. Okay, now say for example you want to do a bar graph. Okay, so what you would do is you would highlight, go to insert, and you would insert a bar graph. Okay, now supposing you enter the figures for May now, what happens? The graph did not get updated. If you were to enter another month like that and you would want the graphs to update, what you'll have to do is you'll have to do it manually. And the way you do that is when you click on the graph, you see how over here the table gets highlighted. So what you do is you grab the bottom right corner of the graph. Okay, see where this small box is, and as you move your cursor there, it turns into a double arrow, and you drag it down to include the row number 6. And when you let go of the mouse, it reshapes the reader, does the graph. And now the next line number 6, the row number 6 is also showing up in the graph. But every time you enter a data row, you will have to redo this yourself manually. Now, suppose I'm just going to go ahead and undo this. Okay. And supposing what you want to do is you want to have this update automatically. Now, there are two ways of doing this. Okay. Now, one way is you can create a table, okay, and you can convert this range into a table and then have a graph, use that table and do a graph. And that way, whenever the table gets updated, the graph will automatically get updated. Now, the other way is you can set up a couple of formulas that would automatically update the range for you. There are a couple of advantages and disadvantages to doing it either way, but let's first see how we will do how we would set up automatic or dynamic graph using a table. So what you do is you click anywhere on this range here, this table that we've got here, and you hit Control T for creating a table, and this window opens up. It's make sure this box where it says my table has headers, make sure that is checked. Okay, and you click on OK, and now what you've done is you have converted the range into a table. And every time you want to update, you want to add another line, you just click on the last cell and hit tab. It will insert a line for you, and you enter the data, and there you go. Now let's first insert a graph using this table. So we go into insert, and we'll just do a graph, bar graph again. Okay, now you see the last line is April, so you've got Jan, Feb, March, April, Jan, February, March, and April. Now suppose you now want to enter data for May, like we just did we showed you how to do it manually. So you click on the last row, hit tab, it inserts a blank line, so enter May, and there you go. And you see how, because this graph is now tied to this table, whenever the table gets updated, so does the graph. We entered another line, and that updated the graph. Row number 6 for the data for sales figures from May got inserted, and the graph automatically updated. So that obviously has an advantage over doing it. What we showed you earlier, that you could manually have to update the graph. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. That's the way that this method, you're creating a table and using that table to draw the graph. Okay, now there's actually another way of doing this, and that is you can set up a couple of formulas, and those formulas will redefine the range for you whenever you update the table, the data table, and that will using the formulas, that will the range for the graph will get updated. So what I've done is I have the same information copied into this sheet here. Okay, now let's get started and let's see how we are going to be doing this achieving the same thing but using formulas. Okay, now first what we need to do is we need to let's figure out number of rows. Okay, let's see how we will count the number of rows in this data range. That would be, we'll use the count function. Okay, now the count A counts the number of cells in the range that are not empty. Okay, so we'll use that, and that basically what we're doing is we're counting the number of rows, okay, in this column that have data in it. So basically the heading plus 4 data points, so that's, it should give you 5. Okay, and we'll grab the whole column and close bracket, enter, it gives you 5. Okay, now mind you, this is date heading plus data. Okay, so you have to kind of keep that in mind, that this is not just the data, this also is counting the heading. So that's the number of rows. Now let's do number of columns. Oops. Okay, now the way we do that is same idea. What we'll do is we'll use the count A to count number of cells which are not blank, and we'll grab this whole row. Okay, that should give you a 2. Okay, so basically what we are saying is number of rows is 5. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and you've got 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. Okay, now what you need to do is we'll use a function called the offset. Okay, let's just first type it. I'm going to type it here, but we'll have to actually go into the formula and use a named range. I'll explain that, but let's first create the formula, then we can always copy and paste it there. So we're going to use the offset command. Okay, reference. Now reference is where you're going to start counting from. So A1 cell is where we are starting from, and what you need to do is you need to have this as an absolute reference. So hit F4, so it puts the dollar signs in front of the letter A and the number 1. So whenever, even if you move this around, the reference is going to stay locked to A1. So I'm going to hit F4. Okay, now rows, this argument is from this, how many rows down do you want to come? Okay, now what we are doing is let me just explain what we're doing first. We are first doing what the x-axis is, y-axis. Okay, and then we'll do the x-axis. Now in a graph, the y-axis is the sales figures. Okay, these figures here. So that is in the in the columns, and then you have these rows that go across like this. This is your x-axis. This is going to come into your x, and this is going to go into your y columns, y-axis. Okay, because the dates are coming in the x-axis, and the value, the sales figures, they are going to be in the y-axis. Okay, so let's do the y-axis first. So offset, reference, this is the first reference that we'll be using. Okay, and we'll lock it with the dollar $2. Okay. With F2, we'll lock it, and then I hit comma. Now, number of rows that you need to move down, move down, 0. Number of columns that you need to move across to the right, 0. And then the height, the how many rows do you need to capture? Now, number of rows that you capture is basically this value here. Okay, so what we'll do is, the two ways of doing that. I can just refer to this cell. Let's just do it that way for now, and we'll lock it. Okay, and the width is 1. Okay, and I'll close bracket. Now, a couple of things that we need to fix. First of all, we need to put the sheet reference. Okay, so we put a sheet reference here, and we put a sheet reference here. Also, if you see, this is 5, but that includes the heading row. Okay, so we need one less. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a -1. That's, once again, the number of data points are only 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we get the number of rows, it says 5. That's because this heading row is also being counted. So if we subtract 1 from the number of rows, we'll get the number of data points. Okay, and that is why we did F4 -1. Okay, so that is your y-axis. Now, what is your x-axis? We'll use the offset command. Reference is A2. We'll lock that. Number of rows to move down, 0. Number of columns to move across to the right, 0. Height, once again, is going to be number of rows. Lock it with the with the F4, and this also is going to be a -1, and the width is 1. Close bracket. Okay. Now what we need to do is we also need to put in the sheet name here and here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we will use this name manager to create name ranges. We will actually give this formula what this formula does is creating a range, and we'll give that range a name, which you will then refer in when you're starting the graph. Okay, so we go into the name manager. Okay, let me just copy this formula. Okay, I'm going to, well, that's coming from here, so that's fine. We'll call this graph y-axis, and the formula is what we just copied. Okay, and this is your x-axis. So graph underscore x underscore axis, and there you go. Okay. Okay, so now what we do is we will go ahead and insert a graph. Okay, what we need to now tell the graph is where to get its data from, and the way you do that is you right click anywhere on the graph and you do select data. Now this is your y-axis, and this is where this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. So let's go ahead and add a data points for the y-axis, which will be the sales figures. Okay. Now, the way you do that is put an equal sign and open the single quote, and you need to first put in the file name. Okay, so it's dynamic graphs.xlss, and then the name range was graph underscore y underscore axis. You hit OK, and you see how this range got populated here. And because once we've got the y-axis populated, the x-axis, it's automatically grabbing, says data point 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, 1 is 18,500, 2 is, well, somewhere between 19,000 and 19,500, so it's more like 19,200 maybe, yeah. And then you've got point number 3 is between 17,500 and 18,000. So it's about 17,750, 7,000, yeah, 17,800, yeah. And point number 4 is between 18,500 and 19,000. So it's going to be about 18,700. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Now, but what we need to do is we need to have these numbers. The x-axis also show January, February, March, April. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, this should be January. It should be February, March, April 2019. So let's do a select data again. And for the horizontal, the labels, we'll go into, we'll put in like we did. So this was dynamic graphs dot xlsx graph underscore x underscore axis. Hit OK, and you see how it grabbed those labels from here, and you click on OK. Okay, now what's happening is the y-axis is coming directly from coming off a formula. The x-axis is coming off a formula. Now when we put in another month, the graph would automatically get updated, because these are all dynamic. Because as soon as I put a month here, the number of rows is going to change to 6. Okay, see how this changes 6? Number of columns is obviously 2, and now it grabbed this a new column is going to show up. A new data point has shown up here, and once we put in a value, it will automatically graph it for you. So whenever you enter another value in here, the graph will automatically get updated. So this is a more cleaner way of doing it. But the bad thing is not the bad thing, but the drawback is this way it only does one column at a time. If you want to insert a column, then this is going to fail, because you need to have multiple formulas. The offset commands used multiple times. Now, the advantage of going this route, using the table, the advantage is, you know how we clicked on the last cell and hit tab to insert a new row. What you can do is you can move your mouse pointer to this bottom right. You drag it to the right, and what this does is it expands the table to include another column. And so this could be profit. Okay. And that could be, say, that could be 70% of the sales value, maybe. No, not 70%, I'm sorry, 30%. That's your profit. And as soon as you did that, it recreated the graph for you. It inserted new bars and everything, which would not be possible with this way. But both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. So this is how you would basically create graphs that are dynamic in nature. You would Now this, obviously you had to grab across and do that, but once you have done that, every time you come here to the last cell, hit tab, it inserts a new line. Now you can enter the data points for June maybe, and say for example 18,750. It did it for you. Okay. So it's a lot user friendlier, yet a lot more user friendly, and obviously because it's automated, the chances of human error are are much reduced. So that's how basically you would do dynamic graphs. If you like this video, please kindly give it a thumbs up, and if you have any feedback, please kindly put it down in the comment section below. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button, and also make sure you hit the bell icon so you constantly whenever there's an update, you will receive a notification from YouTube that I have uploaded a new video, so you'll always get updates. So thank you for watching.